If you've ever wondered how construction estimators actually manage their projects from start to finish, this is a step-by-step breakdown most people will never get to see. By the end of this video, you'll understand the entire construction estimating workflow, from the moment a bid package hits your desk, all the way through delivering the final estimate that determines whether a multi-million-dollar project moves forward or dies. I'm not talking about theory or what you learn in textbooks. This is the real step-by-step process I've used for 9 years working as an estimator, going from an $18 an hour intern to making over $100,000 a year. And in that time, I've managed estimates on everything from small commercial renovations to major projects. And the process I'm about to show you is the same one I follow whether I'm pricing a $50,000 job or a multi-million-dollar build. In this video, I'm walking you through how estimating projects actually get managed, how you review plans and specs, how to perform quantity takeoffs, coordinate with subcontractors, compile costs, and how to finalize the estimate that the entire project team can rely on. If you're considering construction estimating as a career, or you just want to understand what the role actually involves behind the scenes, this will give you complete clarity. Let's start from the very beginning, when the invitation to bid first comes through. So the invitation to bid comes through. You open it up and there's a full bid package. Drawings, sometimes 200 to 300 pages. Thick spec books, bid forms, and you've got maybe 2 weeks to turn around a full estimate. The first thing I do is understand what I'm actually pricing. And I mean really understand it, not just flipping through the drawings once. You need to go through the drawings, specifications, and contract requirements. The drawings show you what's getting built. The specs tell you how to build it and what materials you need. And the contract tells you the special conditions that affect your pricing. I start by going through every single drawing sheet, all of them. Architectural, structural, MEP drawings, that's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil drawings if it's a ground up project. I'm looking out for anything unusual that's going to affect my estimate. Then I go through the specifications. This is where you find details about materials, installation methods, and special requirements. Like you might see that concrete can't be poured in a temperature below 40 degrees, or that certain material needs a 30-day curing period, or that equipment needs special certifications. These details affect your schedule and your labor costs. And then the contract requirements, payment terms, insurance, liquidated damages if you're late. I keep a list of critical items. Things like exterior CMU walls require a 7-day cure time before waterproofing. You can't price what you don't understand. If you miss that 7-day cure time requirement, you might price the schedule too aggressively. Then you win the job and realize you can't meet the deadline without paying massive overtime. If you miss a special material requirement, you price standard material. Then you win the job and find out the material actually costs 30% more. This is why accuracy is so important, because if you get this wrong, everything else falls apart. All right, now we're getting into the actual estimating work, the technical part that takes up most of your time. The quantity takeoff is where you measure everything that needs to be built. You're going through the drawings and calculating how much materials and labor you need for every single component. This is the foundation of your estimate. If your takeoff is wrong, your entire estimate is wrong. I start by breaking down the project by CSI divisions. So I'm doing takeoffs for each section separately. For concrete work, I'm measuring square footages of slabs, cubic yards of concrete, linear feet of footings. For framing, I'm measuring linear feet of studs, square footage of sheathing. I'm counting sheets of drywall. For finishes, I'm calculating square footage of flooring, linear feet of base trim, square footages of paint. I'm using software like Bluebeam to do digital takeoffs right off the PDF drawings. So I can click and measure and the software calculates the quantities for me. You can also do takeoffs manually with a scale ruler if you need to. It just takes a little longer. The key is having a system. I go through each drawing sheet very carefully. I mark up what I've already measured so I don't double count or miss anything. And I'm always checking my work. Does this number make sense? If I'm showing 5,000 square feet of drywall on a 10,000 square foot building, something's wrong. I also build in waste factors. You're never going to use the exact amount you measure. There's always waste. So for concrete, I might add 5%. For drywall, maybe 10%. Your takeoff accuracy is what makes or breaks your estimate. If you undercount, you're going to underprice your job. Your company wins the bid, and then you lose money when the construction actually starts. If you overcount, you price yourself out. Nobody's picking you when you're way more expensive than everyone else. This part of estimating takes time, but that's because it matters more than anything else. You can't rush through it. You have to be careful and work through it step by step. Good estimators all have one thing in common. They're obsessed with the small stuff. They catch the tiniest details most people skip past, and they're the ones that end up costing the most money. So while you're doing takeoffs, you're also coordinating with subcontractors and suppliers to get pricing. Because when you put together an estimate, 60 to 80% of your pricing comes from subs and suppliers. You're reaching out to get quotes for concrete work, electrical work, HVAC, plumbing, drywall, finishes, all of it. And if communication breaks down during this phase, your estimate falls apart. I'm sending out bid invitations to subcontractors across every trade. Concrete contractors, MEP contractors, drywall guys, painters, roofers. I'm also reaching out to suppliers for materials, concrete suppliers, steel suppliers, equipment rental companies, and then I'm managing all that communication in two ways. Pre-bid meetings where we walk through the project as a team and make sure everyone gets the scope. Regular check-ins while we're putting the estimate together. Bid review meetings right before we submit, where we can catch mistakes. Second, active follow-ups. I track every quote request I send out. If a sub hasn't gotten back to me, I follow up. If there's questions about the scope, I get answers right away. I document everything. Every conversation with a sub about pricing, every email with clarifications. Because if something goes wrong later, I need to show what was discussed. A lot of estimators work remotely now, so you have to keep on top of all the conversations going on. You can't just assume everyone's on the same page. You have to make sure they are. When communication is working, your estimates work. Everyone's on the same page, so there's no gaps. You get all the pricing you need when you need it. And when communication sucks, there's total chaos. You're missing quotes, you're scrambling last minute, and you've got scope gaps where nobody actually priced a whole section of work. Being able to coordinate with subs and keep all this organized is what makes you valuable as an estimator. So now you've got all your quantities measured. You've got all your sub quotes. Next step is pulling everything together into one complete estimate. This is where you're taking all the moving pieces and putting them into one total project cost that you will then send to the owner. I start by entering all my takeoff quantities into my estimate spreadsheet. For each line item, I'm applying unit costs. If I measure 1,000 square feet of drywall, I'm multiplying that by my per square foot for drywall installation. Some costs come from my own database of historical pricing. Some come from my quotes I get from subs. I'm building up the estimate section by section. Site work costs, foundation costs, framing costs, MEP costs, finishes. Then I'm adding in all the indirect costs. General conditions like site trailers, temporary fencing, project management time, permits and fees, insurance. I'm calculating the overhead and profit. Overhead covers my company's operating costs, while profit is what we need to make in order to stay in business. And I'm building in contingency depending on how risky the project is and what we don't know yet. Once I have everything compiled, I do one final check. Does the total number make sense? I'm comparing my cost per square foot to similar projects. Then I put together the final estimate package. The cost breakdown, any alternates or options we're pricing, notes about what we're assuming or what we're not including. The team reviews this before we send it out. It's best to have multiple people check it over to spot mistakes, and then we submit it. That estimate goes over to the owner. They look at it to figure out if this project is even happening, and if it's competitive bidding, they use it to compare it to everyone else's numbers. This final package is what decides if your company gets the job or not. If you win the work, this is what the entire project team is going to be working off of. This is what decides if the company makes money or loses it. So you need to nail it. You've got to check everything and then check it again before you send it out. All right, so that's the whole process from start to finish. But let me share with you a few best practices that have helped me manage my estimates over the years. These aren't specific steps in the process, but they're things that make the whole thing work way better. First, build a strong vendor network over time. You want relationships with reliable subcontractors and suppliers across every trade. People who respond quickly when you send out bid requests. People who give you accurate pricing, not just the lowest number to win the work, but realistic numbers they can actually deliver on. This takes time, but as you work on more estimates, you figure out who's reliable. Companies that always submit pricing on time and honor the quotes go on your A-list. Companies that ghost you or lowball their bids, you stop using them. When you have good relationships, subs will work with you. If you're in a tight spot on a deadline, they'll help you out. Your network becomes your advantage as an estimator. Second, have a clear workflow system organizing your work. I organize every estimate into clear divisions following CSI master format. Site work, concrete, masonry, finishes, mechanical, plumbing. I track my progress through each division. What sections have I finished the takeoff for? Which subs have I sent bid invitations to? What pricing am I still waiting on? I keep everything organized in spreadsheets with really clear naming setups so I can find things fast. I also use estimating software like Bluebeam for takeoffs, Excel for cost comparisons, sometimes database-driven tools. Clear organization stops mistakes before they even happen. When you're organized, you don't forget line items. You don't lose track of quotes. You don't miss entire sections of work. And you can juggle multiple projects at the same time. I've had weeks where I'm running 3 to 4 estimates at once. If I wasn't organized, there's no way I could pull that off. It's stuff like that that separates good estimators from average ones. Good estimators have a system. They have relationships. They have processes that keep everything running smoothly. That's what lets you be accurate and efficient at the same time. That's the complete system for managing construction estimates from start to finish. Understanding the project, performing takeoff, coordinating with subs, compiling costs, and finalizing the estimate, plus the best practices that make it all work smoothly. That's how estimates actually get managed in the real world. Now, if you're interested in learning construction estimating as a career, I'd recommend checking out the Course Careers Construction Estimating course. They have a free intro course where you can learn more about the role and see if it's a good fit for you. The full course teaches you everything I just covered and a lot more. Skills like reading drawings, using estimating software, understanding specs, and actually building an estimate from scratch. It's how people are breaking into this field without needing a 4-year degree. And estimating is a solid career. You can work remotely, you make good money, and you're not doing physical labor or on a construction site. If you found this valuable, hit the like button and subscribe. I'm putting out more content on construction estimating, career growth in this field, and the real behind the scenes of how this work actually happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.